Hey folks, welcome back. Just out here at the sawmill, just getting everything cleaned up. We're about to put a brand new blade on here. This is my HM130 Max, my Woodland Mills. You've probably seen this thing in action many times if you've been around the channel. What I'm doing today is putting on a Ripper 37 7-degree blade, which is a little bit different than I normally do. Normally I put on 10-degree blades because I often saw softwood. I read the comments, and many of you have mentioned to me recently that I have to take some of those hard maple logs I've been splitting for firewood, take them off the chop block, get them over here to the sawmill because they're too nice to make firewood out of. I listened. I've got a hard maple log here on my left. We're going to make some nice lumber out of it today. And because it's a hard maple and it's hardwood, I'm going to use a 7-degree Ripper 37. Let's get one of those put on, then we'll get it fired up. We'll see what kind of lumber we can make. So, this blade is brand new, straight out of the package. Some of you may be wondering why I'm taking my gloves off. I'm just taking it off so that I can feel the back of the blade and see if it's flush with the back of the band wheel. In actuality, it should overhang by the same amount over the back of the band wheel as the front. But I start off with close to flush on both sides, the follower wheel and the drive wheel. And then on my left hand here, I'm just adding a bit of tension once it gets in the ballpark. Other people have asked me before, do I use any type of cleaner on these brand new blades? Now the blades often ship with a film of oil. Do I clean that oil off? The truth is I don't. I just put it on the sawmill and I run it, and I've been doing that for years. And I'm not saying that's going to work for everyone. That's just what I've done. You may decide you want to clean it off. I just haven't. All right, we're in the ballpark. Just checking for spacing to make sure I don't have any obvious issues with my guide blocks. Once you tension it, then I'll check for good. But I think we're going to be all right there. All right, 2 different ways to tension these belts according to Woodland Mills. I think they suggest the hand tighten method more so than the torque wrench method. The torque wrench method, I use that because that is what I used on this sawmill on the first version I owned. I owned a 2017 model. Back in those days, it called for a torque wrench spec. Today, I think, as I said, they're shifting towards the hand tighten method. But because I've had so much success with the torque wrench, I stick to what has worked for me. And in actuality, as I look behind my sawmill here, there's still a recommended blade tension torque spec listed on the back, 20 to 25 foot-pounds. All right, so now I'll just rotate it to make sure it's not going to fly off, and then we'll call it good. I'm just looking at the blade here and how it rides on the band wheels. I'm going to rotate it a few times under tension. Once I'm confident it's gone around a few times, I just come back with my hand and I check for a little bit of overhang at the back so that that overhang matches the overhang off the front of the band wheel. And I'm in luck. Yep, spacing looks good on the guide blocks. I already checked the tension on the belt. I'll check it again under tension. I'd say we're good to go. Let's hope the battery's still good. as I wait for this thing to warm up, if you're interested in learning more about my laser setup, I'll put a link to those videos with the laser installs at the end of this video. That was pretty slick right there. Nothing like cutting with a brand new blade. Feels like it's just going through butter. Let's see what we're dealing with. Wow, look at that. Is that ever beautiful, eh? Wow. It's gonna make me not want to make firewood anymore. Nice finish on that, that's for sure. Anyways, we'll keep at her. Dirty, not good. Well, let's have one more look here, see how we did. I got to tell you, saw and maple, or any hardwood for that matter, probably a lot of hardwoods, it's quite a bit different than what I'm used to. When I'm sawing the softwood, the saw barely notices it all, but I do notice the saw is feeling this a little bit. You can hear it revving up, just showing that it's working to get through the material. Now it feels nice and flat there, which is great. I think I probably would at this point change out the blade, sharpen that one, put a fresh sharp one on here, just because I was going through a touch of dirt at some points, and that's gonna cause problems if I keep pushing it. But overall, that looks quite nice. Let's see what we're dealing with for the other pieces. Yeah, look at that, eh? That ever nice looking. The cut quality is really, really good, which is nice. You know, sometimes you get rough sawn lumber, and it's very rough. But this stuff is very smooth. You know, you'd sand it, but you really don't need a planer here. Planer might be a touch faster, but if you just put a light sand on that, that's probably all you need. I left it at 2 inches because I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. I do know it's nice lumber though, so I'm going to leave it at 2 inches. It'll dry out a little bit. Once I have a project in mind, I'll have it stockpiled. I can come out and cut it to whatever width I need it to. All right, last thing we're going to do, we'll take the maple from here, we'll walk it across, we'll stack it up there to dry for a little while. Eventually it'll make its way up to my shop. One thing you may be wondering to yourself is, what's all this stuff here? Well, this is the remnants of a red squirrel. I've got a red squirrel that lives up there in the sawmill shed. Might be able to see his little home. All right, he's probably up in there right now. That red squirrel and I, we've had a few conversations. I've tried to ask him to leave nicely. He doesn't want to leave, and well, as long as he's not hurting anything, I guess he can stay. Let's get this stacked up. One thing's for certain, that stuff's not light. Well, folks, just taking a quick scan around the red pine forest as I get ready to pack up for now. You may be saying to yourself, wow, you're in the midst of a winter wonderland. Well, it is real nice out here. It's beautiful. There's lots of trees and wildlife and all that sort of thing. But we're certainly not in a winter that I'm accustomed to. This time of year in central Ontario, Canada, we should have several feet of snow. We should have colder temperatures. But I don't even have gloves on right now. It's barely below freezing. I'm ready to take my jacket off and the ground is not frozen. What that all means is the logs that I'm bringing in here aren't frozen. Typically they would be, and I'd get them up here. The Ripper 37's a 7-degree blade, which are often designed for frozen logs. They'd be ripping through the lumber. Well, that's not the case, and so I guess we'll do what we can. Keep sawing the hardwood, keep sawing the softwood, and eventually, maybe, just maybe, we'll get back to a typical winter. Let's have a look at what we created here today. So we've got a few live edge pieces. These are 2-inch thick, hard maple. Lots of nice character in this. I'm going to leave them stacked up here to dry for quite a while. Eventually, once I have a project in mind, maybe a table or a bench or a chair, I'll bring those back out. We'll test the moisture, and then we'll get into the wood shop and build something nice. Overall, the Ripper 37s, as I was saying, they are working very well. These 7 degrees are no exception. They cut right through the hardwood without trouble. I think one of the things that is very important, if you can help it, is to keep dirt out of the bark of your logs. Some of those pieces there, you could see the blade running through and sparking. Every time it sparks, that's an indication that you've probably hit some dirt in the bark. And whenever that happens, that'll take the edge right off the blade in a hurry. So this blade here, It cut the log well, but it is time I touch it up, sharpen it up, and we'll put a sharp blade on here before I get back out here. So if you're interested in that laser, as I said, I've got 2 of them there. Be sure to check out the videos at the end of this one. Those lasers are there just to give me a general idea where the cut line's going to be. Just saves me a little bit of time as I'm making my first 4 cuts. One other thing here, back here, you'll notice I cleaned up a bit. I also took some of my previous projects, got my slab wood racks. I finally put them out there. So instead of just haphazardly throwing the slabs out to wherever they land, they'll actually go in the slab wood pile, and then we'll get it cut up. A lot of that material, the slabs, will be used for camping wood, and you can maybe see a pile over there from last year I still have left over. That's all firewood that I use when I go out camping. So that's going to do it for me here today. Do yourself a favor if you can. Get out there, run a sawmill, maybe a chainsaw, split some wood. Just get out and enjoy nature. You might like it. As always, take care, be well, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you next time.